It started like any other evening. I was on my way home from my shift at the bookstore, tired, headphones in, the usual playlist humming in my ears. The bus stop was nearly empty, just me and this one guy sitting on the far bench. What caught my eye first wasn't him exactly, but the way he sat, upright, unnervingly still, like he was frozen in place. I didn't think much of it at first. People are weird, especially in cities. I stood a few feet away, scrolling on my phone. That's when I felt it. This strange, prickling sensation, like I was being watched. I looked up. He was staring at me, not in a casual glance way. He was staring, eyes wide, locked on mine. He didn't blink. I looked away immediately, pretending not to notice. My heart rate picked up for no good reason. Something about him felt off. I stole another glance, still staring, still not blinking, not even once. Trying to shake off the weird feeling, I put my headphones back in and turned the volume up. The bus arrived, and I hurried to get on. I picked a seat near the middle, and the man, he followed. He sat directly across from me. I avoided eye contact, staring out the window like it was the most fascinating view I'd ever seen. But I could feel it, his eyes burning into me. I turned slightly. He was still staring, unmoving, unblinking. I remember testing it, counting in my head. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 30 Mississippi, still no blink. I know it sounds stupid, but have you ever tried not blinking for even a minute? It's impossible. But he just kept going. The bus jolted to a stop a few times, picking up passengers, dropping others off. Every time someone passed between us, I hoped they'd notice, that someone would say something, but no one did. They just walked past like he wasn't there. I started to feel cold. Not like AC cold, something deeper. Like a stare was draining the warmth out of the space around us. I pulled my jacket tighter and tried not to panic. At one point, the lights inside the bus flickered. Just briefly. When they came back on, he had moved closer. Not right next to me, but 2 rows down. Still staring, still not blinking. That's when I began to wonder, was he even human? My stop was coming up. I decided I'd get off early and take the long walk home. No way I was letting this guy know where I lived. As the bus slowed near the next stop, I stood up. So did he. My heart pounded so loudly, I could hear it over the music. I waited until the last second, then darted off the bus. I didn't look back. I walked quickly, taking random turns, trying to make sure I wasn't being followed. After 10 minutes, I dared to glance over my shoulder. Nothing. No one. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Maybe I had overreacted. Maybe he was just some strange guy with dry eyes. Maybe I was just tired. That's what I told myself. Until I got home and found him standing at the end of my street. Still staring. Still not blinking. I rushed inside and locked the door behind me, heart hammering in my chest. I didn't turn on the lights right away. I just stood there in the dark hallway trying to listen, trying to breathe. I didn't hear anything outside, no footsteps, no knock. Nothing. Just silence. Maybe he hadn't seen exactly which house I'd entered. Maybe he was just passing by. I kept telling myself that, over and over. Eventually, I forced myself to move, turning on the hallway light and heading into the living room. I pulled the curtain back slightly and peeked outside. The street was empty. No sign of him. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept waking up, feeling like someone was watching me. I'd sit up in bed, stare into the shadows, and listen to the silence. But nothing happened. The next day at work, I tried to laugh it off. I told my coworker Ellie about the guy on the bus, trying to keep it light-hearted, like it was some awkward encounter. But when I said, and he didn't blink once, not once in 15 minutes, Ellie stopped smiling. Her face got pale. "You're serious?" I nodded, a little unsure of her reaction. "I knew someone like that once," she said, her voice dropping. "Back in college. This guy used to hang around the campus library. Same thing. Just stood there and stared. People used to joke that he was trying to hypnotize students or something, but it didn't feel like a joke. One girl said she saw him outside her dorm room window, on the second floor. He was just there, staring, no ladder, no explanation. I asked her what happened to him. She hesitated. He disappeared? And the girl he followed? She dropped out 2 weeks later. No one knows what really happened. That made my stomach twist. I tried to laugh it off again. Said it must be a coincidence, but her words stayed with me. That night, I made sure all my windows were locked. Curtains drawn. Lights off. I even placed a chair against the front door. Like that would do anything if someone truly wanted in. I was about to go to bed when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened the message. There was no text, just a photo. It was taken from across the street, from somewhere near the end of my block. It was a photo of my house, zoomed in on the window of my bedroom. I stared at it, frozen. Then I ran to the window and peeked out through the curtains. Again, nothing. Just the empty street. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, things got worse. When I went to leave for work, I noticed something on my front steps. A single white rose, wrapped in newspaper. No card. No explanation. I looked up and down the street. No one was there. But I could feel it, that same sensation of being watched. I took the rose and threw it in the trash, then went straight to the police station. The officer at the desk took my statement, but didn't seem too concerned. Could be a secret admirer. Could be a prank, he said. We'll keep an eye out. It felt useless. That evening, I stayed at Ellie's place. I didn't tell her everything. I didn't want to sound crazy, but I told her enough. She offered me her spare room, and I accepted without hesitation. But even there, the feeling followed me. Around 2 a.m., I woke up needing water. I stepped into the hallway and froze. The front door was slightly open. Not fully, just enough to see the gap of darkness outside. I stared at it, heart pounding, wondering if maybe Ellie had forgotten to close it all the way. But then I saw it. A figure standing just beyond the door. Not inside, not outside, just there, in the threshold, perfectly still. The porch light was off, so I couldn't see his face clearly, but I knew it was him. I could see the outline of his head, the posture, and the glint of his wide, unblinking eyes. I slammed the door shut and locked it. Ellie came running, asking what happened. I told her, and for once, she didn't question it. She just nodded, grabbed her phone, and called the police. By the time they arrived, the man was gone. No footprints, no sign of forced entry, nothing. But the fear didn't leave. I started seeing him everywhere. Reflections in windows, standing in the crowd, at the train station, once, in the mirror behind me, at a coffee shop, just for a second. And always, always, the same expression, eyes wide, staring, never blinking. It wasn't just fear anymore. It felt like something was invading me, slowly, like his gaze was peeling away my defenses, one by one. I stopped going to work. I stopped going outside. I covered every mirror in my apartment. I taped blackout curtains to the windows. My phone stayed off. But even then, I couldn't escape him. I started having these episodes. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, standing in the hallway, staring at the door. Or I'd find myself sitting on the floor. Hours passed, unable to remember how I got there. And through it all, I realized something terrifying. I hadn't blinked either, not in minutes, sometimes not even in an hour. My eyes never burned, never watered. I'd just stare. Out the window, into the darkness, or into nothing at all. Like he was inside me now, changing me, becoming me. And now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see fear in my own eyes. I see him, and I don't blink. The change became undeniable. I began losing time, minutes at first, then hours. I'd find myself standing in front of the mirror with no memory of how I got there. My eyes would be wide open, bloodshot, yet dry as bone, unblinking. I didn't feel tired anymore. I didn't feel much of anything. Sleep came rarely, and when it did, I'd dream of nothing but his face. Those hollow eyes boring into mine, freezing me in place, like prey caught in a serpent's gaze. Ellie tried to help. She brought priests, therapists, even a spiritual healer. One by one, they all came and left shaken. One of them, a quiet old man with a Bible worn by time, refused to even come inside. He stood at the threshold, looked at me and whispered, "You've invited it in. It's no longer outside." She begged me to move, to stay with her again, but I refused. Deep down, I knew it wouldn't matter. He wasn't following me anymore. He was inside me. I'd become the vessel. One night, I woke up in the street, barefoot, wearing clothes I didn't remember putting on. I was standing in front of my old workplace, the bookstore, closed long since. In my hand was a bus ticket. One way, no date. Just the number 313 scrawled across the back. I dropped it like it burned. From that moment on, things got darker. My reflection began to move on its own, twitching slightly out of sync. My voice sounded different on recordings, lower, almost inhuman. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of myself smiling in the mirror when I knew I wasn't. I stopped eating. I stopped speaking. Then came the night everything finally broke. It was storming outside, wind rattling the windows, thunder groaning in the sky like some ancient beast waking up. I sat in the dark living room, staring into nothing, when I heard it, footsteps, inside the house. They didn't echo like normal steps. They were soft, deliberate, wet somehow, like something crawling more than walking. I didn't move. I couldn't. The sound circled the room, closer with each pass. I felt breath on my neck, ice cold, and then a whisper right in my ear. "You see now, don't you?" I turned slowly. There he was, standing just inches away. His eyes locked onto mine, and he smiled. But it wasn't a human smile. It stretched too wide, split the skin of his cheeks, dark and endless beneath. Then he stepped into me, not lunging, not attacking. He simply leaned forward, face dissolving into mine like smoke. I felt him pour through my eyes, fill every hollow space inside me. It didn't hurt. It felt right. When I woke, I was standing in front of a mirror. I didn't look like myself. My skin was pale, eyes darker than shadows, lips twisted in a crooked smile. And still, no blinking. That was 3 nights ago. Since then, I've been walking the streets, watching people, staring at them, the way he stared at me. I don't need food. I don't need rest. I just need someone else, someone to look back, someone to lock eyes with me long enough. because once they do, it begins again. So, if you're ever out late, on a lonely bus, walking a quiet street, and you see someone watching you without blinking, don't look back. Don't meet their eyes. Because if you do, it may already be too late.